is going to walk through how to add light, fake sunlight, and sunbeams coming through your photo, or just light coming from wherever direction you need to come from. Okay, so I've added some light into this photo to simulate sun shining into this photo right here, and I just have two ellipses right here. I'm going to walk you through how to do this, including adding some sunbeams. Okay, so first I'm going to turn those off, and I have this Mickey image that we've used in class before, that we imported this hot air balloon right here. So the first thing I'm going to do to add a circle is go over and go to shape. Here's the shape right here. I'm going to scroll down to the ellipse tool, draw out a little ellipse about this big right here. I'm going to click on this color, make sure this is white. It's kind of a cream. That'll work right there. I can lighten it up. We're going to lighten it up here in a second. Okay. Let's see. Let's go up here to fill. You can use our fill. This is the same color. That should be that white. This should be that cream right here. We use this. Okay, good. We're all the way white. Good. Looks great there. Okay, so I have my circle. Now this is a vector circle. So if I drag this circle out and then make it large, it retains the shape, because you guys know how vector objects works. It retains the shape. Okay, now you cannot apply certain filters to vector shapes. So we're going to rasterize this and pixelate it. We'll go up to Layer and Rasterize Shape. Okay, so now we rasterize this shape. You can also tell this is a rasterized layer. If I undo that, this is the little symbol right here for a vectorized layer. I'm going to redo that. I'm also going to turn on my keyboard clicks to show you guys what keys I'm using. Okay, so I just did undo and redo right there. Okay, now I have this shape drawn out. Oh dear. It's on this group. Let's move this away from the part of the group. There, now I can move it around independently. So I have my rasterized circle. Now let's apply a filter of a blur. So go down to blur, choose a Gaussian blur, which is a nice blur, and then look at how this blur spreads out. That's probably a bit too much. This would not be enough blur. We want to spread this out about right. There, it's fine. I can always stack these on top of each other. Okay, that's good. That's step number one. I'm going to zoom out. I'm going to grab this shape right here. I'm going to make it even larger. Here we go. Place this in the corner to simulate where the sun might be coming from. Here we go. Now that's getting there already. I might want to come over here to the opacity and drop the opacity down just a little bit, just because it wouldn't be that strong. But it may be stronger in some senses, so I'm going to leave this about right here. I'm actually going to make this a bit larger even, to make that sunlight really come in more. Okay? Okay? That's pretty good right there. And we can also use, play with this circle, this ellipse right here, and change the adjustment layer, or the blend mode. Sorry, that's not an adjustment layer, it's the blend mode. And as you cycle through these, you'll see it changing in the background here on the left. Oftentimes, if you overlay, that's not working very well. Soft light, lighten or screen. You can't really tell, they don't really do much right there. For this kind of thing, actually normal might just work the best. Lighten isn't changing much, darken is getting way too dark, so we'll leave this as normal. Now I'm going to drop the opacity down a little bit on this. And okay, so that's a good amount of sunlight coming through. I don't want to overdo it. Now let's create a more intense sun here in the corner. So I already have my circle. It's blurred out. So I'm going to click and drag this to a new layer. And I've duplicated that. And I'm just going to shrink this on top and then move this over to the corner to bring a more intense layer and then bring up the opacity a little bit. There we go. And that's starting to look like some sun shining through. Okay, just looks like the sun's coming in off the camera. That's nice. Now what about a sun rays, if I want to add sun rays? Well, we use the same principle. We'll get a rectangle, a white rectangle, make it pretty thin right here. Okay, we'll get a white rectangle, and okay, go up to the layer, rasterize the shape. Actually make this smaller. There we go. And we'll widen this back out a little bit. Oh dear, it's going to widen everything on me. There we go. There we go. Hold down Shift. That'll help. Okay, make this a little smaller. That's good right there. Okay. All right. Now let's rasterize this layer. Oh, let's confirm. Press Enter. All right, confirm those changes. Go to Layer. I already rasterized that. Okay. Okay. Now let's go up to Filter, Blur, Gaussian Blur, and that blurs it out way too much. Let's do this to about here. Okay. I don't know why, but this is my screen. There we go. My screen's just a little dark. That looks better. Okay. Brighten my screen up. Okay. And now we're just going to add these rays right here. Okay. Add this ray. Press return. Those rays like coming from this sun, and just stretch it right across here. And here we go. That's kind of nice. Okay, you see what's going on. Then you can, I could copy this layer by holding down Option. I'm going to make this layer even larger. We have these just magical sunrise. Oops, we don't want to drag the middle point of that layer. Drag out another layer right here. And here we see some sun rays are coming through our image. Okay, and we want to pay attention to actually where these are coming through. You know, sun rays probably wouldn't look like this. So I'm going to take just one of these and add a layer mask and get my brush tool. Put black on top right here. I have 100% opacity. I'm going to drop that down to 21%. That's good. I'm just going to mask some of this to make it feel a little more natural. Thin these out a little bit. Okay? And I'll do the same thing to this. Add a mask and do the same thing. Just soften them up a little bit. Those sun rays wouldn't be quite so strong. Okay, let's do the same thing to this rectangle and just soften up these sun rays. Even this one right here, let's add another mask to that and then soften this up. This one feels like it should just be a little higher. Okay, and that's good. You may even want to group these. I'll select those, group them all, and let's name those rays. There we go. And then change the opacity just to soften them up just a little bit. There'll be light shooting through this, but soften them up a little bit. You can even go into those rays and add a mask to that whole layer and get my my blur or my mask tool right here. And let's mask off where it's in front of Mickey. So Mickey still pops out really nicely. So even masking in front of this right here, take that away so that this still pops well. These guys pop nicely. Zoom in on that. You know, it wouldn't, if this was really coming through, it would not be in front of this guy right here. Let's change this opacity. You can see it coming through a little bit. There, he pops out a little more. Gets light on this left side, but not underneath. So bring him out a little more. We should also have some group those two together, and let's call that the light, and add a mask there. And let's, there we go. We'll kind of make this smaller. That way we have some shadow to this side of the guy, because we wouldn't, he wouldn't be lit all the way around, but he'd have a little shadow right there. But he'd be lit on that side. Same thing with Mickey here. Let's just brighten up all this light side of Mickey so he pops off. And then even down in these areas just to make this a little more believable. You could go to town. Of course, you may see that hazy kind of feel right there, so we can choose what we want to. Okay, and now it's looking nice. You would have to have some serious time and detail to add this in here. It might even be worth jumping into Illustrator and creating a sun, bringing it in here, and then with all these rays, and then blurring that. That'd probably be the better way to go. Okay, that way they'd all be projecting from a radial sun point. But you get the idea. This is pretty nice. You can even take those rays, add an adjustment layer, brightness contrast, and can we brighten those up even more? Okay, now it's doing the whole layer. Let's option click, and they'll just add to that one layer. There we go. Brightens them up just a little bit. It doesn't even, okay. Mostly it was affecting the other side of the image. Okay. There you go. And that's how you add light. So whatever light source you have, add a shape, make it white, blur it, well, rasterize it first, then blur it, and then play with the opacity and the blend mode, and then make sure you apply layers only to the layer below, and you can add light to any area you want. Okay? All right.